Hey everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new to my channel, welcome. Don't forget to subscribe and click the notifications bell to get a notification every time I post so that you don't miss out. And of course, to all my OG subscribers, what it do, what it is, what's up? How are you guys? I hope that you're all good. In today's video, we're going to be looking at how I edit my pictures. I was going to say how I edit my Instagram pictures, but it's more just in general on how I edit my pictures as a whole. So that's what we'll be looking at. I won't be looking at how I edit my videos, unfortunately, today, but I will most likely do it in the next video to come and just show you guys all the mechanisms and techniques of how I edit my videos and how I just put everything together. But today we'll mainly be focusing on how I edit my pictures, how I get to keep my aesthetic feel, and basically just my art, my vibe. But yes, so without wasting any more of your time, let's get into it. So first things first, I'm going to be using the apps Indie, Lightroom, and VSCO. So usually they are in their designated color sections, but for this video specifically, I decided to take them out so that it's much easier to access them. We're first going to start with the Adobe Lightroom. And the reason why I like starting with this one is that it usually does bring the color up and really just brightens the whole picture up. So I've already added some pictures that I've decided that I would probably edit for this video. And I think maybe we should just start with this one. So now this is what it looks like. You'll have your whole layout going on. And what I usually do is that when I take my pictures, I usually try and take it in such a way that I know if I'm going to crop it, it's still going to look really, really nice. And the reason why I crop it is that I don't want any other color showing. And that's why we're going to keep the crop like that. And once I'm done cropping with that, I usually just press the auto filter, which usually just brightens up my image. It already does most of the work for me. So I keep it like that. And once I'm done and I feel like, okay, maybe it is bright enough and I do like it like this, I just choose to save it. And then it's saved. Now that I've pretty much just edited this picture and brightened it as much as possible, or the way that I would like it to be, I'm just going to do the rest of them just so that it's much easier for us to do. So just to go through the whole process again, I'm not going to crop this picture here because I don't think that the picture will crop as nicely as I'd like it to. So I'm just going to press the auto button, which just automatically brightens it up for me. And then there's this image. I'm not going to crop any images on this platform specifically because I don't like the way that it crops. So we're just going to autofill it and move on. Immediately after autofilling, I need to save all these pictures. So I'm just going to save them, and after saving them from here, we're going to move forward and go on to VSCO. As I've said, we were going to move from Adobe Lightroom into VSCO. This is basically what VSCO looks like without any edited pictures. So I've just basically cleaned out my whole VSCO for this video. And as you can see, it's pretty empty. There's a take photo and there's an import. So what we're going to do is that we're going to click the import button because that's what we want to do. We want to import our pictures. So I'm just going to import the pictures that we just did on Adobe. And once that is done, all my imported pictures are right here. So specifically for these pictures, I've decided that I want to go with the very retro bright theme. So before editing your pictures, always think about a theme. Always think about what exactly am I looking for in my pictures? What exactly do I want my pictures to portray? What exactly do I want my pictures to look like? That's the first thing that you need to have when taking pictures, number one, and when you edit, number two. Because I can take a picture outside in a formal dress and edit it as if though I was just chilling inside my bed, and those two ideas just don't correlate. So from here on, I'm going to start with the top. Let's start with the bottom picture. So I'm now click the bottom picture. You can't select all different pictures at once, because if you do that, then you can't edit. So you have to select one picture at a time. And from there, I'm going to press the little settings looking button, which is the editing button. And unfortunately, the VSCO app doesn't really go landscape, so I'm just gonna have to keep it at portrait. And from here, the filter that the preset that I'm going to be using is definitely the M5 preset, especially for these images specifically, because I really just like the brownish, retro-ish, oldish vibes that it gives me. It just gives me a very VSCO girl vibe. So we're now going to move on to the filter settings, which includes your exposure, contrast, adjust, sharpen, clarity, saturation, tone, white balance, skin tone, vignette, and grain, feels, split tone. So basically what I will be using is the exposure, contrast, sharpen, saturation, skin tone, and grain for these specific set of pictures. So let's start with the exposure, which is something that I always start with. I always start with exposure just to see whether or not I like the preset. So as you can see with the exposure, I could either go down to make myself look a bit darker, or I could go all the way up to make myself look yellow bone. I don't know, just light, like really light. But for this one, I'm gonna, because it's already a dark picture as is, I'm gonna brighten my exposure. So I'm gonna bring it up and I'm gonna leave it at 1+1, because it just creates this really bright looking picture. And then I'm gonna take it to my contrast. And for the contrast, you can either take it really down or you can take it really up. And for this one, I think I'm just going to leave it a bit down, because it does create a very soft image. And I really do like that it makes it a bit softer. So I'm going to leave it at -2. And then I'm going to move on to adjusting the picture. Reasons being because I don't really like the red borders around the picture, and that's not what I'm trying to show. So I need to crop it just a bit in order for me to get that image that I'm looking for without having any other imbalances in between. Once that is done, then I always sharpen my picture, because anywhere that you post a picture, your quality is bound to go down. So if you already have a very low resolution picture and then you post, your resolution is going to be even lower than it actually is. So just by all means, always try and sharpen your picture, but sharpen it to a stage where it looks really good without having to draw too much attention to what is actually going on in the picture. From saturation, I stay away from clarity, because clarity just does not make things clear to see, and I'm not about that vibe. So we're just gonna skip on to saturation, which is my favorite. So with saturation, you could either create a very orangey picture, I could put it that way, or you could just go for a very mellow vibe. And for me, that's really what I like. I like my mellow vibes. But for these specific presets, I'm always going to try and go as down as possible, unless the picture is pretty dull like this one, then I'm going to try and bring it up. But with the saturation, I always try and go down. So with this one specifically, I'm going to leave it at -1,1 because I really like the way that it brings a bit of color, but it also keeps it very sepia, and that's what I really like about it. From there, we're going to move on to skin tone, and at the skin tone, I always take my skin color up or skin tone up because it just creates a very golden crisp type of picture. It just, if you can see the difference, here it's more pinkish and here it's more golden, it's more crisp, and that's what I really do like about this. From there, I move on to my grain, and the reason why I'm going to add grain to all of these images in this specific set is because it really goes along with my retro theme. It goes along with the themes that I'm thinking of specifically for these pictures. Once I'm done, as you can see, if I long press on the picture, you can see the difference between the two. And for me, this is what I really like. And from there, I'm just going to press apply, and I'm going to save my picture. And right after that, it saves. And that's how I edit on VSCO. So before I move on to the Indie app, I'm going to edit one more picture on VSCO just so that I could make it work with the Indie, because the picture that we just edited right now, I don't really want it to be on Indie because I like it the way that it is. So I'm going to edit the last picture. And with this one, before I pick my preset, I just want to adjust my picture because I can already see that if I don't adjust it, it's not going to work out for me. Once I've adjusted, as we've agreed, I'm going to be keeping these at an M5 level. And from M5, we move on to the exposure. The picture already is quite bright, so I'm just going to try bring it down just so that it highlights and just contrasts everything that's happening around me. And from there, I'm just going to take my contrast up a bit, and I'm going to take it up to +1. From there, always, ladies and gentlemen, sharpen, sharpen, sharpen. So I've now sharpened the picture. And from there, I'm going to saturate it. I want it to be a bit darker, but let's leave it at -2,8. And as I've said, you know, I'm not specifically going to give specific measurements for these because they do vary from picture to picture, depending on what the picture looks like, how the picture was taken, and the actual lighting of the picture. My skin tone is always going to go up no matter how the picture was taken. And for these vibes, I'm definitely going to have retro in it. And from there, I'm just going to save it. And with the picture that we just edited, we're going to take that to Indie because I'm satisfied with that picture being on the Indie. Okay, now on Indie, I'm going to then go onto the pictures and I'm going to edit the picture that we just took. And with this, I'm going to start with the effects. So I already know that I'm going for a very 90s type of theme. So if I wanted something very skirry, I would definitely use Miami. But that's not what I'm looking for. And I'm looking for a very 90s theme. So I do think that I want to use the 90s 2 as my preset, and from there I just click that. And if I just want to add more filters, which I really don't like because I do try and keep it as natural as I possibly can, so I don't add any filters, but by all means, if you want to add more filters, go ahead. But I just keep it like this, and of course I save it, and then it's done. Basically just to do one last picture for the video, I'm going to do this one, and from this one I can already see that I'm going to have to adjust my picture, so I'm just gonna adjust it a bit, and voila. And from there I'm gonna go to my preset, the one that we agreed on, which is gonna be M5 for these series. And I can already see that my picture is a bit dark, so I don't really want to go darker. So I'm just going to try and go a bit lighter and take it to +09, just so that you are able to see my features. And from there, I'm going to take the contrast up. I'm going to leave the contrast at maybe I should take it down. So I'm actually going to take the contrast down for this one. I'm going to take it down all the way to -4,4, and then I'm going to sharpen the image to 9,7, and my saturation, I don't really want it to be too saturated because it is such a elegantly brown picture, and I really do love that. And I'm going to keep it just like that. My skin tone all the way up, nothing can stop me, I'm all the way up. And then we're gonna add a bit of grain. I do like it without grain, so I'm just gonna try it with the grain to see whether I like it or not, just as a tester. And I don't really like it with the grain. So what I usually do, if I do want grain but I don't want grain at the same time, I usually just go and meet myself halfway. But I do feel like the picture is a bit too bright, so I'm just going to try and darken it a bit and take it to -1,4. And from there, the grain makes sense, saturation makes sense, and the picture just looks really elegant. And then I apply my features and I save it. Then there you go. Then that's how I edit my pictures. This is basically what it looks like. This is usually my final results, and as you can see, I really did manage to capture my 90s retro theme, and I really do like the way that these pictures actually turned out. And this is basically how it looks with the M5, saturation, your sharpen, and grain. It's just how all the pictures just decided to come out, and I'm really impressed with the way that they did come out. And I can say I am very head over heels. So basically that is how I edit my pictures, how I keep everything as classy as possible and just make it look as nice as I possibly can. And with that all being said and done, I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you want me to help you guys with any other presets or upload a video on how to take my pictures and photo shoot ideas, by all means, just let me know down in the comment section below, and I will gladly help you guys and definitely upload a video on that. My next video, do stay tuned because I will be posting a video as to how I edit my videos and how I just create an aesthetic feel to my videos, and I honestly can't wait. So until next time, thanks for tuning in. Bye.